Good morning, Cappuccino. Here we are with our, where's my warm-up? Here it is, with our warm-up and notes for today, Wednesday, May 13th. So first of all, we are going to look at these equations, and we are going to just identify the slope and the y-intercept. And we can do that just by looking at the equation. We do not have to graph them. So first of all, the equation needs to be looking like this for us to find the slope and the y-intercept. The slope is the number with the x. So I talked about this yesterday on our warm-up. The number with the x is our slope, and the number that's by itself is the y-intercept. So this first one is pretty straightforward. The slope, I'm actually going to start with the y-intercept. The y-intercept is 3. Y equals 3. And the slope, whoops, this pen is gone. Find another pen. The slope is the number with the x. And we use the letter m for that. M equals 2. Okay, so here is my slope, and here is my y-intercept. Now, notice the next problem. It doesn't look exactly like this in that the x is not coming first. It's not the first term here on the right-hand side. So we're going to rewrite it. We're going to use the commutative property of addition to rewrite it. So I'm going to rewrite this equation as y equals 1/2 x plus 4. Now, oops, why do I keep picking up a bad pen? Now I can identify the y-intercept and the slope. Oh, they're all bad pens. Man, must be the end of the school year. All my pens are dying. Okay, so what is the y-intercept? The y-intercept is the number here at the end. So that's 4. And what is my slope? We use m for slope. It's the number with the x. So it's 1/2. Okay, next one. Whoa, what's going on here? I have a minus sign. Okay, we don't want a minus sign. We want a plus sign. So we're going to rewrite this. We're going to write y equals 2 plus negative 5x. So if you have minus, rewrite it as adding the opposite. So 2 plus negative 5x. Now I'm going to switch the order. I'm going to use my commutative property of addition to switch it. So y equals negative 5x, don't forget your negative, plus 2. Now it looks good. Now it's in the same form as this. Okay, so now I can say y equals, my y-intercept is this number right here, 2. And my slope is the number that's with the x. What's with the x? Negative 5. Bam, got it. Oh, what craziness is happening here? Okay, this looks crazy. So I'm not supposed to have a number with the y. This 5 is supposed to be over here with the 4x. So I can use the balance method to move this minus 5 over to the other side. So how can I get rid of a minus 5? I can get rid of it by adding 5. So I'm going to add 5 to both sides of my equation. So just like when we were solving equations and I had extra x's over here and I wanted to get rid of them, I could use the balance method. I can do that to move that 5. So what have I got? On this side, these are not like terms. So I have 4x plus 5. Minus 5 plus 5, that's just 0. So that just cancels out. And I'm left with y. Now, to make it look perfect, I can just flip the two sides. Okay, I can move the y, start with the y equals. So I can just change the two sides. That means the same thing. Now it's really easy. What's my y-intercept? My y-intercept is 5. And what's my slope? My slope is the number with the x. My slope is 4. So notice I couldn't do this right away because here it said minus 5. But when I moved it, it became a positive 5. So my y-intercept is 5. All right, next one. Okay, I have a number with an x and another number, but what about this 2 out here? That's weird. Okay, it needs to be looking like this one. And right now it doesn't look like it. So how can we fix this? We can fix this with the distributive property. So we're going to distribute. So I'm going to have y equals 2 times 3x is 6x. 2 times 5 is 10. Okay, so I use my distributive property. And now I don't like having a minus. I want it to look like this one. I want to rewrite it with a plus. So y equals 6x plus negative 10. Now it looks perfect. Now I can identify my y is equal to negative 10. My y-intercept is negative 10. And my slope is equal to 6. Okay, last one. Well, this one doesn't look so bad, except it has a minus sign. So let's rewrite that. Y equals x plus negative 7. So my y-intercept is equal to negative 7. And my slope is, oh, wait a minute, there's no number with the x. So do you remember what number can we put in front of the x if there's no number in front of a letter? It's a 1. So if there's no number in front of the letter, you can put a 1. So what's my slope? My slope is 1. All right. So now what we're going to do, now that we know how to look at an equation and identify its y-intercept and its slope, what we're going to do is we are going to use those to graph lines super fast, so fast. So let's go over to our notes. Our notes for today, where are they? Here we go. And we are going to graph, we're going to graph lines just by using the slope and the y-intercept. So we're not going to make a table. We're not going to make a table. We can graph this equation without making a table. So if we look back at how we were doing it before, I was having you make a table and then plotting the points. Well, we're going to go straight from the equation straight to graphing the line. Okay? So all this business, all this work, we're not going to do that. We're going to have a shortcut. Okay, so first of all, just like the warm-up, you have to write your equation in this order. Y equals slope times x plus b is the letter we use for y-intercept. Okay, so this is our slope. The m is our slope. And the letter b is our y-intercept. Okay, so looking at our equation here, we're going to start, just like we did in the warm-up, by finding the y-intercept. So what is the y-intercept? The y-intercept is this number right here, 3. Y equals 3. And then we're going to put that on the graph. We are going to graph y equals 3. So where's the pen that I like? There it is. I like doing it with red. Okay, so my y-intercept is at 3. So remember, what's a y-intercept? A y-intercept, let's go back here. A y-intercept is the dot that is on the vertical axis, the y-axis. So this point right here is the y-intercept. Okay, so I'm going to put a point on my y-axis at positive 3. So here's 0. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. And there it is. There's my y-intercept. Now, what's my slope? My slope is the number with the x, which is 1/2. So we say m for slope equals 1/2. Now, how do we get slope? Well, slope, remember, we got by doing rise over run. This is my rise, and this is my run. So if we, again, look back at some other graphs, see my slope is rise over run. So from one point to the next, I rise 3, and I run 1. So we can now do that right here. We're going to rise 1, and we're going to run 2. So from my y-intercept, from right here, I can get my next point by rising 1 and running 2. 1, 2. So I'm right here. And I can actually do it again. I can put more points on my line. Again, from here, I can rise 1 and run 2. Once I have 2 or 3 points, I can take my handy dandy ruler and I can connect them together. And there I have my line. This is how mathematicians graph a line. They don't make a table usually. Instead, they just look for what's the y-intercept, and they put that on the y-axis, and then they use the slope to find more points. See how the slope is up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, using the slope. Okay, let's do another one. So let me set up. Y equals negative 2/3 x plus 1. Okay, so here's our next one. So just like we did here, we want to identify what is the y-intercept and what is the slope. So the y-intercept is the number that's being added at the end, so it's 1. So y equals 1. So I'm going to put that on my graph. Here's my y-axis. Where is 1? Up 1. Bam, right there. Okay, and then what's my slope? My slope is the number with the x. Notice it's negative. So when the negative sign is there, I like to move it to the top number. I like to write it as negative 2 over 3. So if it's right in the middle, just move it up top, negative 2 over 3. So remember, it's rise over run. But this rise is negative. That means I'm going to go down. I'm going to go down first and then to the right. So from here, I'm going to go down 1, 2, and then to the right 1, 2, 3. Okay, so let me show that again. I start on the y-axis at my y-intercept. I start at my y-intercept of 1, and on my rise is negative, so I'm going to go down 2, and then my run is 3. The run is always to the right. And I can do it again. Down 2, to the right 3. Okay, you know how I just said the run is always to the right? Well, what if I wanted to go to the left? Notice, if I start here, and instead of going to the right, what if I go to the left 3? 1, 2, 3. Then I would have to, instead of going down 2, I would have to go up 2. 1, 2, to get to that point. Let's do it again. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So I can continue that pattern. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And look at that. I have a nice straight line going all the way across my graph. Okay, and I could put arrows. It keeps going. Okay, let's do one more example, and then you're going to be practicing this in math space. What if I want to graph, well, let's make my graph first. All right, let's do y equals 2x minus 3. Okay, first of all, I don't like having a minus sign, so I'm going to rewrite it. I'm going to rewrite it as y equals 2x plus negative 3. Now I can identify my y-intercept. My y-intercept is this number here that's being added, so y equals negative 3. Now I'm going to put that on my graph. Here's my y-axis. Where is negative 3 on my y-axis? Well, I have to go down. I have to go down to get to negative 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, now I need my slope. My slope is m, and it's the number that's with the x. Okay, now wait a minute. I need a rise and a run. Right now I only have a single number. So remember, how do we make a whole number into a fraction? We do that by putting it over 1. So if the slope is a whole number, you need to change it to a fraction by putting it over 1. So now I can see my rise and my run. I'm going to go up 2 and to the right 1. So from here, from my y-intercept, I'm going to rise 1, 2, and go to the right 1. And I'm going to do it again. 1, 2, 1. Rise 2, run 1. Okay, and notice I could go the other way also. I could go left 1, down 2. Continue that pattern. Over 1, down 2. Over 1, down 2. Over 1, down 2. Over 1, down 2. I could keep going forever if I wanted to. And we'll make ourselves a nice line. And there it is. Okay, so this is what you're going to be doing in Math Space today. And if you need help, just send an email to myself or Mr. Alvarez, and or you could text Mr. Alvarez. Okay, so real quickly in Spanish, in my attempt at Spanish. Okay, so cuando usted tiene una cuestión de una línea, el número con X es slope. Este número es rise sobre run. Lo otro número está la y-intercept. Cuando usted graficar este problema, usted necesita primero poner la y-intercept en esta línea, la y-axis. So, este número es 3, 3 está positivo, entonces es arriba 3, 1, 2, 3. Pone su primer punto. Después, usarlo la slope. El slope está la número con X. Este número, la número arriba es cuántos espacios arriba y el número abajo es cuántos espacios a la derecha. So, de aquí necesita va arriba 1, a la derecha 2. So, arriba 1, a la derecha 2. Arriba 1, a la derecha 2. Y luego pone una línea. Escribe una línea. Okay. Aquí, este problema, el número con X es slope. Otro número es y-intercept. Primero pone un punto en la y-intercept. 1 es la y-intercept. So, en esta línea, la y-axis pone un punto a 1. So, 1 está arriba 1. Aquí. So, este está y-intercept. Después, use la slope. El slope es negativo 2 sobre 3. Pone la negativo con el número arriba, es más fácil. Este número arriba es rise, el número abajo es run. Primero, rise. Negativo, el significado es abajo. Abajo, 2. So, de aquí, abajo, 2. 1, 2. El número abajo es a la derecha. 3 espacios. 1, 2, 3. Y repite. Abajo 2, a la derecha 3. 3. Perdóname. Es posible llevar la otra vía también. 3 a la izquierda. 1, 2, 3 y arriba 2. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. ¿Ok? Muy fácil. Repite los espacios. Repite, repite, repite para una línea. Y aquí, cuando la slope es un número entero, necesita escribir con un fraction. Para un fraction necesita poner una abajo. El slope está 2, pero la raíz sobre run es 2 sobre 1. El primer número es negativo 3. So aquí, en la y-axis, pone un punto en negativo 3. 1, 2, 3, negativo está aquí. Después, rise, 2 espacios, 1, 2, y run, 1 espacio, 1. 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1. O va la otra vía, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. ¿Ok? Y luego escribe su línea. Okay, so good luck, and if you need help, let us know. We're going to work on this today and tomorrow. Bye-bye.